Hey everyone, welcome to Bionicle Uncovered. I'm BionicleTitan. Today we have...
I'm AveeX Total Fire.
And I am Dr. Oral.
And today we are going to be doing an episode on the 2006 story of the Toa Inika, which is actually probably one of the deepest stories we've gotten in Bionicle that has really been undertold, because the marketing for this year was sort of weird.
Yeah, they had the whole rock band thing going on.
We got
Yep.
Yeah.
Too edgy.
rap.
Oh, well, okay, that's a classic. That's one of those things
Yes.
that's just good because it exists.
It's more of a it's so bad it's amazing kind of.
Yeah,
thing.
it's one of those. Although I did like the animations they made this year. I thought those were cool.
Yeah. Those are good.
Yeah, the style of the Flash animations, really, this is the last year for them, I believe. And these were probably the best ones we ever got from them.
Yeah.
Style of animation.
Except they weren't completely accurate. In Hyuki's case, brown instead of the gray.
Yeah,
color,
those were the Paraka online animations, which those were cool and those were fun, despite not being accurate in the slightest in the case of the Toa Inika.
Yeah. All right.
But whatever.
So we're gonna do something different today. We're gonna talk about the sets, kind of, and the overall effect this year had on Bionicle. This is just a really big year for Bionicle. It's also when we started to see the decline of Bionicle with these so-to-be called Inika builds we started getting.
Man.
Yep,
and they kind of saved and destroyed Bionicle at the same time.
Yep. Also, this is I think the last year that we actually get a brown character, but it isn't Toa. In this case, it's actually the Paraka. But last year of brown characters.
Yeah, from then on they were kind of tan.
It was tan in 2009, whatever, and then 2007 was the Keat Orange again for Toa.
with like the black stuff.
Yeah.
And then orange.
Yeah, the next year was orange. Orange I actually like. I like orange better than Keat Orange for color for stone.
Yeah.
It seems more natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, Huki was the first Toa of stone we ever got that was not the normal brown color. He was kind of drifting from the normal style and became this gunmetal gray and Keat Orange, yellowish orange color.
Which I can see why it's for stone, because, if you look at the boulder that Pawatu has in his Manta form, it's actually a gray boulder, so I can see where they kind of... I can see why they changed that color, but...
It's brown. It's a brown boulder.
Oh, yeah, sorry, what?
However, he could combine his climbing claws into a Coden ball, which was colored that silver gunmetal stuff.
I was thinking about a rocket, like a rocket had, which was the same mold. I don't know.
Yeah, I had one of those that was gray, but it also had some trans orange hints.
Oh yeah, they came in I had 5 of them from the Ninjago stuff.
Yeah. So this build, this is probably what a lot of people when they start mocking start with.
Yep.
I confess to it.
Same.
I can agree with that as well.
If you find the picture of my first mock, which you won't, because it's not on the internet anywhere, I don't even know if I have it anymore. But it's this Inika build, and it uses Keat Orange and dark green and something else, and it had Congo's 2007 mask, and it didn't have any upper arm or leg armor at all. But it was the standard Inika build, and I thought I was gonna win a Lego Club contest with this, but I was 10 at the time. So, it's just oblivious 10-year-old me, oh, yeah, I can win. And then I see these
You guys remember on, Bionicle.com, they had that thing where you could, share your own Toa? And there were all build, and there were all those old pictures and whatever you could find there.
Yeah. I didn't remember that.
Well, I put mine up. Basically, all I did was change the masks of sets.
Nice.
Flawless. Genius. Just flawless build.
So the Inika were actually introduced to us in 2001. So we've grown up with them. You started out with Bionicle 2001, and you've come to know them through the first 3 years of Bionicle. You got to experience Jaller and Takanuba's quest for the Mask of Light and the seventh Toa. In the first movie, you got to bond with these characters, the original 6, which we got closer to Holly and Jaller probably than any of them since they were 2 main characters in the movie. All the others were kind of, well, they were kind of there, but they same time
they were underplayed quite a bit.
They were definitely
Agreed.
underplayed. I mean, you got to see Nuparu with the boxer, and Huki was one of the Kolhi players, I believe.
Wait, the boxer was in the movie?
No, but I'm saying like he was like 2002 story. That's what.
Oh yeah.
That's his big moment to shine. Is the boxer.
Yeah.
And Huki's was playing Kolhi in the movie. Kongu and Matoro never really saw the movie, and I think that I don't even remember anymore. It's been too long since I've seen like Minogue and the animations and stuff to tell you if Huki had a huge part in that or not Huki, Kongu.
And I want to say
in the Madanui Online game, he had a big part in the attack on the Rama Hive.
Yeah, and I want to say, sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay, I want to say that each of the Matoran, they each had the same mask as the respective Toa, but different colors. I want to say that was for each of the Matoran, because Jaller had a mask shielding. Holly also had a Kakama. No, not Kakama. Cow. Yeah,
but it was still blue like Gali.
Yeah,
hers is the only one that didn't change, I think.
Yeah. Actually, I want to say it was a tiny bit lighter, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I want to say it's a tiny bit lighter, but it could be the same mask.
I think Huki and Holly did not change their mask colors. Nuparu probably.
Actually, Huki's might have been lighter.
Huki's was peanut butter, the 2015 Fohatu color.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Kongu was the turquoise teal color we like, I believe. And Holly's just stayed the same. Matoro, sand blue. Nuparu had an orange mask, and Jaller had his yellow mask.
Yeah.
Yep.
So these Matoran, they kind of got turned into Toa when they were on a mission with Takanuba. The Toanuba's mission was to find the Konohi Inika, the Great Mask of Life, and they went missing. So the Jaller was told by Turaga Okama about this, and so he gathered up the bravest Matoran he could find.
And Takanuba.
Yeah, and Takanuba. So we have Jaller, Nuparu, Holly, Kongu, Huki, and Matoro, because you haven't memorized their names and you don't remember them. And Takanuba was also part of their party. So they went on this huge quest, and there's a lot to this story here.
Yeah, basically what happens is they ended up in Karzani, and Takanuba couldn't continue because of the light. There was a barrier that kept light-based beings out of Karzani, so he couldn't continue. And,
only if it was a tool fire.
Yeah, and basically the Karzani, from what I remember, he attempted to fix the Matoran and threw away their old masks. Basically what happened was they ended up in Toa canisters with organic masks and were sent adrift.
Yep.
So it's kind of like they ended up on Karzani, and then everybody but Holly, or everyone was stripped of their mask and sent off to work in the furnace, but Holly, because Karzani wanted her to tell him about the outside world, what was going on out there. So
yeah, because she was the chronicler.
Yeah.
Yep.
So while she was talking to him, the others met this insane Matoran, and he ended up showing them to the Toa canisters, and Kongu went and got Holly, and they all ended up in their Toa canisters, or in the Toa canisters, and a bolt from the Red Star shot down and hit the canisters, and they became Toa.
Yep. That's the best story of all time.
Yep, and they also had their elemental powers infused with lightning.
So legitness, man. I mean, it kind of explains why lightning everywhere, lightning this, lightning that, because, they also have lightning infused powers. So yeah.
Yep. So yeah, they after arriving on Voyanui, they decided to go have a sit down in a cave and plan their next move because they got to figure out what happened. And then they figured out that their masks were organic, and they took their masks off, and their faces were really bright and blindingly so.
Which these new heads were nothing like we'd ever seen before in Bionicle. For the sets, they were originally meant to be glow in the dark, and were still advertised somewhat as to be glow in the dark, even though they weren't. And they were just a plastic mold of a head that had a pretty much gradient from white to green. This line.
Yeah, which varied from item to item, because some would have it a more distinct divide. Others were kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Yep. And I want to see that this is another inconsistency with the set, but I want to say in Bionicle Heroes, why did I say Kitagu? Kongu had red eyes, but he actually has green eyes and every other thing I want to say. So yeah, just a little note there.
Yeah. Although in that game, it was probably just to make more contrast.
Yeah.
Because a little too much green there, because he was like full on green in that game.
Even though he's supposed to be green
in the
and
set,
silver.
he had some silver. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the other thing that kind of sucked was that these ones didn't have any kind of the masks for these sets didn't have any kind of backwards compatibility. In fact, they could only be used with these sets because the masks only fit this kind of head mold. They never used this kind of head again.
Yeah. That's why.
Odd things.
Yeah. So all mockers had to stick with the same head mold for if they want to use this mask, which is kind of terrible.
Which I can see somebody. I bet it's been done before. These heads seem pretty easy to paint. I believe that you could probably paint blue or red or whatever color you want your Toa's eyes to be over it, and then put it on their mask again, and there you go. Your Toa's eye color has changed. But that required defacing parts, which a lot of us don't like doing. It's kind of upsetting.
It's immoral.
Yeah.
It's kind of an immoral thing, which I mean, it is very cool sometimes. Like when there's you get the custom masks and stuff that people paint, and they look really cool. But it's like you had to sacrifice this mask, and there's only so many of them. But at the same time, you're like, this is an amazing thing. Why has nobody done this before? Why has nobody thought of making this mask this color?
Yeah, it's terrible. Look, I honestly don't think I ever defaced a mask before, but I can say I for sure have defaced some actual little pins or axles, which is terrible.
Yeah, those are just minor occurrences. Yes. Anyway, moving on with their adventure. So after figuring out that their faces were basically just blinding rays of light, Nuparu, Holly, and Motoro figured out what their mask powers were. Motoro saw a strange figure while using this, because, his mask power.
Yeah.
Yada, yada,
mask
yada.
Spirit. Yep.
So they managed to control their masks, and then they say, all right, let's get a move on, and they leave the cave. But their path was blocked by lava. So Nuparu used his Konohikaden, which, for those who don't know, the Konohikaden is the Great Mask of Flight, which is kind of weird for an Earth Toa. But I digress.
Kongu also, I recall, was mad at him for having a mask power, I want to say.
Well, probably. Especially since,
Yeah.
Yeah, Kongu was stuck with telepathy.
It's cool, but it's not going to get you to able to fly around the islands or anything, which I do think that was a weird choice for his mask that year. It's like, okay, every Toa of Air, Matao had his little swords that turned into wings that he could fly with, and then you had Leiwa who had the Mask of Levitation and could float around with that.
Only on wind currents, though. That's how he flew. He used wind currents.
Yeah. But
yeah, I guess maybe they were trying to give some more character to it. Or just experiment a little bit. Which, I mean, I can see where they're going with that. It would be interesting to see what an Earth Toa would do, given a mask power that doesn't really make sense with, his element.
Which this was a very experimental year in general for Bionicle. This is the first year that we didn't get a gear function in the torso or on the set anywhere, really.
Yeah, we just had full-on articulation in all the joints.
Yeah, which, I mean, we'd always wanted, like, full articulation that works great. But it comes with a price. Unfortunately, it gives those standard builds that we see for the next several years until up in a Bionicle. Which is a sad thing. But let's go ahead and move on with the story.
Yeah, so he picked up the other Toa and was flying them across lava and almost dropped Holly. However, Jaller, being, I guess, the Superman equivalent of Bionicle, used his Kanohi Calyx, which is the Great Mask of Fate, which is one of my favorite masks in terms of powers, which basically just increases his physical properties to their limits. And then rescued her, and then they encountered Vizok and subdued him. However, this did not last, as he escaped.
So, what happened after that is the Voya Nui Resistance team ended up meeting up with the Toa, and those are the 6 Voya Tauren from the year. Kazi, Balta, Garan,
yeah.
Vilika, Dalu, and Puruk.
I thought it was Velika.
I always said Velika, but whatever.
Velika, yeah, go with that. Just the 6 of those, the 6 Matoran sets from that year, were all were the Voya Nui Resistance team. They were some of the last remaining Matoran, because before the Toa arrived, the Paraka had enslaved the Matoran population and taken control of the island upon their arrival. They were actually the ones who gave the Toa the Zamor launchers in the Zamor launchers in the story, and the spears that were filled with energized protodermis.
Yeah, after Velika modified the launchers to hold more rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they ended up splitting up and each having their own task. One of them was, some of them were trying to go free the Matoran from a volcano. Some were sent to try and find Naxxon to help the battle. Others were given the task of infiltrating the Paraka stronghold.
Which, if I remember correctly, it was Naparu and Kongu who went to go to the fortress, right?
Naparu and Kongu, yes, were the ones who went to the fortress with Garan and Vilika. Which they defeated Nektan, which is a leader of the Skakti race.
Well, actually,
isn't he?
They defeated a Nektan, which is a here on BSO1. It's a defense system named after the warlord Nektan.
Yeah, which that was the 2010 Skakti is called Nektan.
Yeah,
everybody calls him Vizok, but it's Nektan.
It's Nektan. It's definitely him. No, so yeah, my mistake. But they defeated that, and then they ended up discovering the history of Voya Nui, and in tablet the words inscribed Vizok and Vezon. And when they went to the stronghold, and they found a room. It was Kongu and Naparu were the ones exploring this, and to their horror, they find a room that's the mask of the Toa Nuva, and they thought they were dead, so they entered this room and attacked the Paraka and Brutaka, who was the Paraka's ally at this point.
Little side note: check out my thing about Brutaka to learn about Brutaka. Sorry, I should have flagged it. I'm sorry.
Nice plug.
I know.
So yeah, the rest of the team came in, and then a minor altercation began. Yeah. And so Hakan and Thok accidentally shot Brutaka with a Zammer. I don't know if it was accidental, but anyway, they stole his power and gained strength. And they basically beat up both their allies and enemies. and forced Brutaka to tell them where the Mask of Life was.
And then the Paraka and Inika formed a temporary truce just so they can defeat the two Paraka, and then Brutaka ends up getting his powers back because I want to say that another Zamor Spear was engineered just for the specific purpose of getting the powers back to Brutaka. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny. You can see the Paraka's true character. How when two go away and gain more power, they betray the others, so the other four betray them as well, and they go join the Toa and try and take them down. The Paraka really weren't the most loyal group to each other. They were kind of a group, but at the same time they were all on their own.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Like I wonder what would happen if they actually reached the Mask of Life, and they would probably like have a battle to the death to figure out who got to take the mask.
Yeah.
It would probably, just for the record, it would probably end up being Zaktan.
Yeah, probably Zaktan.
Yeah.
Definitely not Vizak, because he's only half a person.
Yeah.
By this point.
Yeah. Which, if you guys like the Paraka, this is a plug for something else, but you guys should definitely check out the Skakti Life. It's a show that was originally came on Custom Bionicle Wiki, which that's no longer a channel, so it's on its own channel called the Skakti Life. Look it up. It's actually a nice little comedy about what happens during this time before the Toa arrive, and it's like it's mainly Vezok and Thok, and Vezok is incredibly stupid in it because he gets separated from. How did he get separated again?
The mask, the spear fusion.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it did something.
Yeah, the spear fusion pretty much split Vezok into two people, and it created Vezok, we had Vezok, and then it created Vezon, who ended up getting a Mask of Life merged to him as well.
And in the Matoran
back of his head.
In the Matoran language, Vezon actually means double, I want to say, right? Something like that.
I'd have to look it up. I don't have it up at the moment. I'm not sure where my hard copy of the Matoran dictionary is either at the moment. But, so the Toa knocked everybody out after they fought, and then it was everybody except for Zaktan was rendered unconscious, and they woke up. They discovered, okay, sorry, I messed that up. But Toa and Inika were actually the ones knocked out. So everybody, the Paraka and the Inika were both knocked out. And when they woke up, the Inika discovered that the Paraka were already gone, and that this entrance to the 777 stairs, 777.
Yep. A lot of stairs.
Which was led to the Mask of Life. It had been revealed, and so the Toa started descending this staircase, and they found themselves in a chamber surrounded by villains of the past. A Turok, the Rakshi of Fire, a Borak Kal, a Muaka Beast, a Borak, a Nui Rama, and Pterodax at the head. So they fought the enemies, and they unintentionally killed their opponents. It broke the Toa code there.
Oh no! Your Toa's Jaller, your disgrace.
And as they were about to leave, they transformed into the Toa Nuba, the defeated enemies had. They thought that they had just killed their friends and wondered whether they should terminate their mission for fear of accidentally killing Matsunui instead of saving him. Ultimately, they decided to continue going and just realized that it was an illusion.
Yeah, because Kongu, he used his mask of telepathy. Is it telepathy? Yeah, telepathy.
Telepathy.
To actually, since that there was no brain waves from them, so that means they weren't real, and that they didn't actually kill them. So, go Kongu!
Right.
Yeah.
So they eventually made it to the Chamber of Death, and they were told, voice told them that if it was to continue, somebody was going to have to die. And Matoro volunteered, and Matoro was then killed and brought back to life. And it was not, the voice explained that it wasn't the prospect of death that made a difference, it was like the willingness to die for the ones Costa did, so they ended up carrying on. which is kind of ironic how Motoro volunteers to die in the first place.
And then it tells him that he doesn't have to die; he just has to be willing to, and then he dies.
Because like,
Ooh.
he dies and he comes back to life, and then next thing you know, and then the next year, spoiler, he dies and sacrifices himself the next year, again for the Toa and for the good of Motunui.
Well, that whole little segment was pointless, I guess.
Yeah.
Although it did have a whole lot of meaning behind it, and I do respect what they were saying.
Yeah, it was a very honorable thing to do. You could tell he was definitely a true Toa.
Yeah, but he didn't believe that he was supposed to be a Toa, because I recall reading in the book that he said that he's just a translator, that is not a Toa, or is not meant for the duty of being a Toa.
Oh yeah, he always felt like he was the one left out. He wasn't like athletic or anything like Huki was. He wasn't strong like Nuparu. He didn't really have any experience in battle, so he felt like the odd one out.
Yeah.
So they encountered a Protodax, which it's actually a Protodite is what it originally was.
But it's just mutated and massive and stuff.
It's enlarged trillions of times by the Inika's power, and they guard the 777 stairs from anyone that would attempt to steal the Mask of Life. And the Toa and Inika encountered them, and then the Protodax had them surrounded before being driven away by Umbra, who was the guardian of the Mask of Light. Or just one of the guardians. Probably the most intelligent one. Most self-aware.
Who has roller skate feet.
Yeah!
The Titans of 2006 were pretty cool. And then the only one I actually got was Umbra. I have his box still and everything. And then Umbra has these roller skates as his feet, and we're all like, what? Like, it's kind of weird. I'm like, you can't roll him either way. I tried it when I got him and I built him. I tried rolling him across, like, a flat surface, and he just, like, toppled over from weight because it did not want to work correctly.
Good job, Umbra.
Yeah, well, wasn't he a Walmart exclusive?
I don't believe so, but it may have been that way.
He was. Oh no, I think it was Toys R Us. But yeah, the Titans were good for the most part.
Yeah, we got some great combiners. We had Botar that was a combiner that between like who was Botar's combiner? It was like
Botar was Axon and Brutaka.
Yeah, and then you combine Axon, Brutaka, and Finrek, Vezon's beast that he rode that year, and you got Cardus. Cardus Dragon, man. That was cool.
Good.
Photo.
Wasn't it said to be the best combiner?
Yeah, it's considered the best combiner.
And it's the biggest too. That thing's massive.
Yeah, it's 3 sets combined, it's already 3 Titans, so it just makes it even better. But no, I have Umbra's box here. It doesn't say Toys R Us exclusive on it. It says special edition, so it's a special edition of it. And the marketing on this box is actually wrong. It shows a green Rutoka spinner, and it actually came with a silver one. Fun
Nice.
Interesting.
It may have been. It was a pre-owned set, so it may have been that the original owner gave me 2 silver ones instead of the dark green ones because he lost the green ones.
That's probably why.
Actually,
let me go see.
After I got it, I actually was playing with I just had the Rotuka spinner and I was playing with it, and I launched it, and it went behind the entertainment center in our living room and still remains there from a few years ago today because I haven't been able to get back there because it's this giant entertainment center that I can't exactly move.
Ooh.
So until the day we get into an entertainment center, or I'm able to just have the willingness to go get my dad to help me move it, I am 1 Rotoka spinner down, which I ended up getting a couple more. So it's not like I don't have enough. I don't ever use them anyways. I only have a couple of them.
I want to say he does have green. I want to say it's confirmed.
All right. Anyways.
Anyway, yeah. So, they eventually, So they briefly fought Umbra, but they beat him back and continued. And they eventually came upon the end of the 777 stairs, the gateway of the Mask of Life. And you notice that the Paraka had already created outposts on the bridge, which, how? They just build them out of
They just
dirt
find-
like a sandcastle?
That's kind of weird. That's an obscure detail there, Greg. Thanks for helping us out with that detail.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
You're the best man.
So they ordered Huki to summon an earthquake to knock the Paraka off of their feet.
Ooh.
So then they charged at them, and the Paraka scattered. And Kongu was all like, wind, and blew away Zaktan. Literally. He blew away his prototype particles.
Yay, no more Zaktan.
And Jaller cried out, and the wind ripped through the bridge, thus burying the Toa Inika underneath and ending this sad tale. Not really.
I'm crying.
So they freed themselves, and they were like, all right, let's go. And they tore down the door leading to the Chamber of Life. And they saw 4 unconscious Paraka and a fused monster, which is actually the combination of Vizok and Radak. And they were all like, he was all like bearing down on them. He's like, ah. So then he was split apart again by Vizon, who is all like, Spear of Fusion, split.
Ooh.
So then the Toa Inika battled Vizon and Fenrak, his monstrous spider, who is a quadruped.
Yeah.
And so, the Toa knocked them into the lava, and Jaller was like, all right, I'm going to jump into the lava. And so he was going to go grab the mask, but then Vizon rose out of the lava. And this time, he wasn't riding Fenrak, but the Cardus dragon.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yep. The battle began. So Kongu, under Jaller's orders, prompting whatever, read the Inika's mind, and then placed the mask's thoughts into Vizon's head, which enraged Vizon because the Inika wanted Motoro to be its guardian instead of Vizon. So he's all like, all right, I'm going to kill you because I was going to do that in the first place. So then Jaller fired a Zammer sphere that was given to him by Axon and trapped Vizon and the Cardus dragon in a stasis field, while Motoro grabbed the Inika. So they eventually, Cardus and Vizon unfroze, and Cardus released a blast of energy that blew the mask right out of Motoro's hands.
Doom, doom, doom.
Doom, doom, doom.
Ba-da-da-da.
Bum, bum, bum.
So the story goes, they chased the mask, and it eventually led them to the sea. Holly attempted to follow, but she doesn't have the mask of water breathing and was nearly killed by the pressure of the water. She was saved by Matoran, and who consequently died. They reunited with the Toa Nuva, and they discussed the tasks of what needed to be done, exchanged farewells, and the Toa Inika went down to the court to pursue the Mask of Life. And inside, they fought off the Zyglak and Vizon, who was eventually carried off by the Zyglak. Motoro used his Iden and Makuna Pterodax inhabited Motoro's body to drive him out. The Inika threatened to kill Motoro's body, causing Pterodax to flee in his antidermis form. They recovered Holly's mask and found themselves in mutagenic water. And within seconds, however, the Mask of Life transformed the group of Toa into new forms, the Toa Mari, who continued to chase the Mask of Life in the year of 2007, which we will be talking about in the next episode, which is actually, if you'll give me just a moment, I'm going to which is actually going to be the next episode. It was supposed to possibly be this episode 2, but we're going to make it its own episode. We're going to go ahead and go for it. So next time we will see you guys talking about the Toa Mari.
Which are the best Toa of all time. Sorry. I had to put it in there.
I'm completely biased. Like your opinion, man.
I'm completely biased because, whatever. See ya.
Sayonara.